What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, a lot of people are asking what it is that I'm going to be doing in Austin, Texas. Not Plano, where I'm doing a meet and greet, but where I'm going in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas has this community first village. I'm flying out to Austin to meet with the founders and the people who created this community because I'm very interested in learning what I can from them so I can replicate this. Real quick, you guys know if you're going to buy gold and silver, check out our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you are a first time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, Pimpy, and get a free half ounce of silver. Most of you know I have an alternative website, which I encourage you guys to go over there because there is a lot of very informative information on the coronavirus. I encourage you guys to check it out. Everybody knows I started off as a guest on another YouTube channel. We used to go on there all the time and talk about the dinar. We ended up parting ways, and I was encouraged to start my own YouTube channel, and here I am today. But when I was on that channel, people were asking me, hey Pimpy, when the dinar or the Vietnam dong revalue or get reinstated, what are you going to do with your money? I said, well, of course, obviously, the first thing I'm going to do is pay off all my debt, buy gold and silver, and make sure that I'm set up where I live comfortably the rest of my life, and so does my family. But I was aware that the amount of money that I would get back would be more than enough, and I also realized that the money that I was getting was not all mine. Here's what I mean by that. Since God was going to bless us with this money, I knew there's no way in God's green, wonderful earth that all that money was for me, that I would need to do something by giving back. I was talking about working with homeless people, doing what we could to help them. There was a gentleman from the East Coast. He was a lawyer who was listening to my idea about helping out vets, helping out homeless people, doing what I could to help them get off the streets. It was him that introduced this project to me. So I came to the website, I watched the videos, I read up on it, and became very interested in this project. So it was him that introduced me to this particular idea for a humanitarian project. Now, for the life of me, unfortunately, I lost his contact info, and hopefully if he's watching this video, he will reach out to me again. Because at the time he introduced this project to me, we were not ready to try to tackle this, not at the time, but we are now. We are lining ourselves up now, trying to replicate this project by where we live and helping homeless people. So hopefully he's listening and he'll reach out to us. I was surprised and shocked to find out that there's only one of these communities, and that's in Austin, Texas. I thought for sure there would be other communities that these guys replicated in other areas, but we are very interested in doing that. So we want to, again, go out to Austin, Texas, learn all that we can from the people who put this together so that we can come over to our local communities and start doing the same thing and avoid any pitfalls that we might encounter. In addition to that, we're going to add to what they have there at the community. We're going to be adding in trades to help them not only get off the streets and get into one of these homes, but also to learn a trade so they can get out and start making a living and hopefully save up money and move on to bigger and better things. Now, we also know a lot of doctors and dentists, which we are more than positive we can reach out to and get them to volunteer some services and come into the community and help those in need of medical and dental attention. We also know a lot of people in different areas of construction, different backgrounds that all can contribute to helping us build these communities. Now, I remember when I first was talking in the dinar community, people are like, yeah, you had to have this humanitarian project. And I was like, no, you don't. People were being told if you didn't have this humanitarian project, that you wouldn't be able to cash in your dinar, which is false. It is a currency. You can exchange it anywhere at any time. Well, I won't say anywhere at any time. Right now, we know there are certain restrictions on the Iraqi dinar. So once those restrictions are moved, you should be able to go into the bank that sells and buys currencies and exchange it. We know that Chase Bank, I believe, does it currently, but at the current rate. No, you did not need a humanitarian project. Then somehow, some way, that got carried over to Nasera Jacera. We were being told you could not get your blessings unless you had a humanitarian project. That's false as well. That's not the case. When I told people you didn't need the humanitarian project, both for the Nasera Jacera or with the Iraqi dinar, people got bent. I said, calm down, people. There's nothing in there. There's no proof that it's mandatory. That doesn't mean you shouldn't want to do this. You should want to give back to your community. As a matter of fact, allow me to please encourage you to do so. Now, we do understand there's going to be some people out there that just don't care. They're just going to blow right through their money, and rightfully so. That, in my opinion, would be your punishment if you didn't give back to the community, is that you would just blow through your money quicker and go right back to square one where you started. See, God don't like ugly. All right, so just be careful. I was introduced to this project. This project has been something I've been interested in for quite some time. Like I said before, I was not in position to try to tackle this, and so I feel like we're there now. These people started off with food trucks, which is a good thing. They went around feeding people who needed fed, of course, but it also allowed them to really reach out and start to know those locals, really get an opportunity to screen them as well. Because as they built this homeless community, you want to be very careful about who you let in. Okay? And what I mean by that is, don't get me wrong, what I mean by that is we know there are some people out there that have dependency issues, both with drugs and alcohol. We also know there's people out there that have mental health issues. So in both situations, you can run into people who are very violent, and it would not be very good for your community, if you get my drift. I know a lot of these homeless camps have some very violent people there. I got a DUI one time, and part of my community service work was to go around and clean up the streets, the trash on the side of the roads. Yeah, you know, the people with the vest. But also, we went into a homeless camp. When we got there, I went with the sheriff who asked me to come along with him. And what he was telling me was that he would give the homeless people a day's warning. He would tell them that the next day the sheriff would be coming down there to clean this all out. They would use a bulldozer. So if you didn't get a warning, all the stuff that you collected or that you had there, you would lose. And that really upset a lot of locals. It upset a lot of the homeless people. And it became very aggressive and violent towards other individuals. So what this sheriff did was find a happy medium, I guess is the best way to put it. So he went there a day ahead of time to warn them. And right on cue, as we were walking through these little homeless camps, we had a gentleman come out, and you could see he was high as hell. His skin was beet red. He had a knife in his hand. His eyes were bloodshot, and he was puking everywhere. And you could tell he was high on heroin. And he was trying to attack us with a knife. My concern was if there was one, there might be more. Well, we were able to subdue him really good and put the handcuffs on him. We continue to let people know ahead of time, and they're very appreciative of that. But it was amazing how quickly they could break down their camps, get all their stuff loaded and out of that area. But there was still a ton of trash left over, and the bulldozers just come through and they clean it out. Also, I had an opportunity to meet a family that was there. There was a husband and wife with children, which I was shocked they would have kids near violent people like this. But the truth of the matter is, you're going to have violent people like that in all the homeless camps. But I had a chance to listen to them. They had a car, they had jobs, they just had a situation. The kids were in school, so they would leave throughout the day and then come back in their savings so they can get the hell out of there. And I'm hoping, praying that they made it out there, because I never was able to follow up with them. After seeing this, after witnessing what I saw and the way they were living, you know, I just felt like there was something that should have been done more. We should have, the community, we have to stop relying on the government to keep helping us. Seriously, we do. We need to come together as a community and help ourselves. The less we rely on the government, the better off we are, and we're finding that out now. Also, when I went to college and got my first degree, I've told this story before, I did a documentary on homeless people in Berkeley, California. I learned a ton by interviewing and sitting down and talking to homeless people. It was amazing, to be quite honest with you, not what I had anticipated. One of the people I met was a lawyer, a gentleman who graduated from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And as you can imagine, he told me he was a graduate of Chapel Hill, And I did not believe him. So I had my people reach out, and sure enough, he was. So I was wrong. So when I went back to interview him again, he told me the story. What happened? Now, mind you, he had a sidekick that he'd been on the streets with for a long time who had mental issues. He was very abusive, very aggressive, and constantly drunk. So during the interview process, he was often very aggressive, is a good way to put it, very abusive, to the point where we had to bring people with us when we interviewed Nick is his name, I believe, the lawyer, and keep him away from the guy we called. His name was Cowboy on the streets. So Cowboy was drunk and abusive, and we had to bring people with us to keep him away from Nick because he would try to yank Nick or pull Nick away aggressively and beat him up if he didn't leave right away, and we didn't want to see that happen. So anyways, come to find out, this man ran into one issue after another, turned to alcohol, lost his wife, lost his kids, lost his license to practice, and just went downhill from there. What I did then was take him down and introduce him to a gentleman that was running a food bank, a soup kitchen. So this gentleman fed people who needed feeding, not just the homeless people, but also families local. Explained to the gentleman that this guy Nick was a former lawyer. In my opinion, didn't seem like he was so far gone that he couldn't be saved. He stayed there at the shelter and helped feed homeless and the needy. Over time, he fought his dependency of alcohol and little by little got away from it altogether. He was also able to help the gentleman who ran the shelter with some legal issues that he had ran into. And I guess helping him with his legal issues really kind of lit a fire back under his butt as far as wanting to get back in the law. The gentleman that ran the shelter helped Nick look into what it would take to get his license reinstatement and found out that what he lost it for in the first place was for being drunk in court. And so it was not such a major violation that he couldn't get reinstated. So they worked on it, and sure enough, he was reinstated and back to practicing law. Over time, obviously, he left the shelter and went out on his own. I'm not sure what happened after that, but I like to think that he stayed a productive person in society, stayed sober, learned his lessons, and today is living a healthy, great life. It's that experience as well, coupled up with what I saw when I went to go do my community service, plus the gentleman from the East Coast. It was a combination of all this that is bringing me to why I'm going to Austin, you guys. When I get there, I'll keep everybody updated on how it goes. What I'm hoping is when the time comes, people will also be interested in replicating this in their local communities and doing what they can to help. We know there's a lot of vets out there. There's no reason for vets to ever be homeless, in my opinion. I'm going to add trade schools to this is what the goal is. But you can just quickly see here real quick. Their phase one, they had 27 acres. They got 51 altogether. 27 acres is what they started with. They were able to home 200 formerly homeless people, men and women. In there, what do they have? 100 RV park homes. So they had RV homes and park homes. 130 micro homes. 5 laundry, restroom, and shower facilities, 5 outdoor kitchens. You can see the list here goes on and on. I do like this. I did see a video that they made in which the community cinema was there. It was an outdoor theater, which I like a whole lot. There's something about that it's nostalgia, They have all these things here they were able to put together in phase one. Phase two, they were able to do a whole lot more. They got to 51 acres. They now have 500 homes. And you can see 7 laundromats, 7 outdoor kitchens. They have a community garden, a donor recognition park, which is really nice. Community work entrepreneur hubs, which is helping people sell products that they create, which is really nice. They have grown and they continue to do so. And again, this is why I want to go there and learn as much as I can. We do have the right connections when it comes to lumber, contractors, cement people. So we feel pretty good that we could not only effectively but efficiently build a community similar to this one in Austin without having to pay an arm and a leg to do it, which would allow us also to build other community. So I will leave the link for this, but they also have a YouTube channel I encourage you guys to go check out so you can learn more about them. All right, you guys. So hopefully you'll join me, not actually on the tour, but I mean in doing something like this in the future yourself. Or at the very least, maybe you feel like contributing to the nonprofits, and your contributions obviously will go a long ways. So I appreciate all your help and all your time and your attention, and I will talk to you guys later. I'm out.